Hey everybody, how are you doing this evening or afternoon or morning? I don't know, wherever you are. My name is Makeda Valletta and I'm on my page, Makeda Valletta Travels. I am back in Harlem, NYC, and I want to do a video just wrapping up my trip to Dakar. I've done several videos on, I've done several videos on my experience in Dakar. Okay, I did an intense video about the health, food, and access and stuff like that on my page, The Body Scientist. So if you want to know in depth about health in Dakar, about access to healthy food, healthy lifestyle, definitely check that out. I'm sure it'll be eye-opening for you. I've done videos on my other page, Renaissance Amazon, as well. And so those of you who've been following my videos and the pages might be like, okay, 1 second you said you didn't like Dakar at all. Next second you said you loved it. That was so dramatic. And so, I was going to, sum it all up. Because for those who follow my videos, they might have seen two drastic things. One video where I'm asking, is Dakar overhyped? Because I heard so many great things about it before I came. Nobody said anything bad about it. Everybody told me I'm gonna love it. Everybody says they love it. So I was expecting it to be this amazing place. And when I came, it wasn't what I expected at all, and I was very disappointed about it. But then I went out with this dude who took me to a really cool spot on Saturday night. So today is Wednesday now. So a few days ago, Saturday night was I think I came on Thursday morning, so Saturday was my third day there. He took me to this spot that made me love Dakar. And I think it was really because of him. It was because he was a very good-looking man. And he had really good energy. And he was like a breath of fresh air. And it was like a surprise, And then he said, because I had been complaining earlier that day about how much I was so miserable and I was going to leave. On Saturday, I wanted to leave on Sunday. Okay, so today's Wednesday. I ended up leaving on Monday night. But on Saturday, I was like, I'm leaving. I was complaining. I'm like, I hate this place. He was trying to help me, as was other dudes. Not my Airbnb host, but some other men that I met were trying to help me. And I was just like, whatever. So he said, you want to go for drinks later? And I said, sure. And then I got cute. He came pick me up. He looked nice. And he took me to this spot called Boma in Dakar. So if you ever go to Dakar, go to Boma, right? And it was a beautiful place. I'll post a video of that too, because I've been posting the bad stuff. I'm going to post a video of that spot. But it was weird because that spot was it was this beautiful place with beautiful people that was all fashionable and stuff. But I didn't see that when I was moving around Dakar. Dakar is a very dirty, dusty city, not nice architecture. Things are really run down and half built. When you're moving around, I don't see people with nice outfits. But we walked into that place and people were fly. And I'm just like, where do these people come from? And this place was amazing. You know what I'm saying? So there are places like that in Dakar, but it's in the midst of rubble. So that's the thing about it that's weird. It's a lot of these so-called developing countries, I don't like to say third world, but let me say developing countries, or, a lot of these countries, it's either people are rich and they have a lot, or they have nothing. It's there's no middle class. There's no middle. And so the thing about it was the place was very nice, but it's okay, but are we ignoring everything around here is a hot mess? Really a disaster? So you're putting luxury places in the middle of a disaster. That to me also was something that I would have an issue with. You know what I'm saying? That's not a nice example of a city to me, right? So just to sum it up, so that's the reason why I ended up loving it, but then I ended up hating it again the next day, because the next day I couldn't find food. I couldn't get from point A to point B. Nobody understood the addresses again. If you didn't see my previous videos, check them out and you'll understand, because I don't want to repeat a lot of the same things again. But it was very chaotic and hectic, okay? So my last observations, all right, about Dakar. I talked about the luxury and dilapidation. That's what it is, okay? And I'm going to post some of the luxury videos because Tulum is kind of like that too, but Dakar is a lot worse, a whole lot worse, right? Then hair, okay? So, the first day when I walked outside, the first girl I passed was complimenting my hair. And there was a dude that I met there who grew up in Atlanta. His parents are from Mali, but he grew up in Atlanta. He's lived in Chicago, and he's lived in different countries. And when he saw my hair, he said to me, yeah, they don't do that here. They definitely do. The way your hair is done, they don't do that here. And the thing is, what I know from being in New York is that Africans were never the good hair braiders. All of the good hair braiders in New York, and New York was like one of the natural hair meccas, they're always Caribbean or Black Americans. On 125th Street in Harlem, there are Africans that braid your hair, and it's known, like Black girls know. Those who are in the know, don't let them braid your hair. They're aggressive about it, but they will make you go bald because they braid so tight and so crazy that it causes permanent damage to the roots and can make you go bald. Okay? I have an aunt that actually was one of the people who was responsible to making it so that braiders have to have a license to braid, because some people are braiding in ways that make you go bald. And a lot of times it's the Africans on 125th Street that chase you up and down the street wanting to braid your hair. It's really cheap, but it's horrible. So when I was there, I didn't see any Black women there with nice hair. Like, either they had cornrows that were like, look very pickaninny. And like, what I mean by pickaninny, I mean it like unkept, right? Like cornrows that were just unkept. They look like they've been in there for 6 months. Look like you've been rolling around in the dirt and never wearing a scarf. Looks like jacked up looking cornrows. They just look horrible, right? Or really bad looking wigs. Either a horrible looking wig or really bad cornrows. I never saw one Black woman there where I was like, no, I didn't see one Senegalese woman where I was like, oh, I like her hair. Ever. Not once. Now, I'm not saying that nobody exists, but I didn't see her not one time. I could go outside right now in New York and see tons of Black girls whose hair I like anywhere. Okay? The taxis in Dakar, they have this app called Heech and one called Yango. They both suck, okay? They're like supposed to be like their Uber, but Yango is an app that you use it. Well, both apps, it doesn't bill your card, so you still have to deal with cash, which is a problem, because even if the app tells you how much it's going to be, the drivers always change the price. They always tell you it's more money, always. Okay, they probably don't do that to you if you're from Senegal, but they definitely do it to everybody else. Okay, so that's the reason why I like Uber, because you don't have to have that haggle with them. And you can put the address in. With Yanga, it calls a yellow taxi to you. The yellow taxis have no meters. It calls a taxi to you, but you can't put the address in. So you still have to tell the driver where you're going and negotiate the price with them. And if you don't speak Wolof, you can't even do that. Okay? And even if you do speak Wolof, if you're not aggressive with them, they might still try to overcharge you. And you have to explain all this stuff. Okay? So, and then this other app, Heech, everybody kept telling me, oh, use Heech instead. Heech is better. I tried to use Heech like 3 or 4 times. Every single time I tried to use that app, a car was never available. Okay? It's always said a car wasn't available, which is such BS. Okay? So again, inefficient. You know, being in Dakar, everything was inefficient. I'm from New York. I'm a New York City girl. I like efficiency, which is why I could never live in Texas or Atlanta or New Orleans. Like, they're too inefficient. I like people, cities that know how to handle their shit. Handle your business like a boss. Okay? I cannot stand inefficiency. And the way things run in Senegal on every level is just inefficient. The cars in Dakar are extremely old and really, they feel like they have no shock absorption. They look like the door is going to fall off. I mean, they're old and damaged. It's not even like old and kept up well. And a lot of the roads are not paved. So you're driving these old rickety cars over rocks and getting stuck in mud and dirt. It's just a hot mess. I don't even understand how the cars don't break apart. I really don't. And the cars, the type of gasoline, there are no fuel regulations or whatever there. So the cars are old and they're emitting all this sooty, horrible smoke in the air. It's terrible. Okay. The food was okay. I'm not really a big fan of eating street food in a lot of countries because they don't use good ingredients, right? Also, but in the restaurants in Dakar, if it's either like fast food or if you go to a restaurant that's like this fancy restaurant, but the food is just mediocre and it's overpriced. Like, I had this one, I had like one meal a day because it was too damn hard to get food. But I had this one thing. It was like shrimp and rice and two juices and a plate with little baby shrimp and some rice, and that was $25. Okay, way too goddamn expensive, and it wasn't even that amazing. or worth it. You know what I'm saying? Hold on, I have to sneeze. I did not want to go to Goree Island. Hold on, I have to sneeze. Excuse me. At first, I thought I did want to go to Goree Island. And if you don't know what Goree Island is, it's the island that many Africans were kept at before they were shipped to the Americas to be enslaved. And at first, I wanted to go there, but then I was like, for what? Like, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, why do I want to visit a place that's, like, traumatizing and has all this fucked up energy? Like, we already know the slave trade happened. Like, why do I want to visit a place of trauma? You know, do I really need to see that? And I was like, no, I really don't. So I did not go there. My Airbnb situation, if you go to Dakar, you need to be careful because a lot of the Airbnbs, they seem nice in the photo, but when you get there, it's not. Or the host is an asshole. Like, the first Airbnb I had, which I have a video on here showing, was very nice. But it was in the middle of a construction site, okay? It was not an accessible area. Nobody knew where it was at. I walk outside, there's a whole goddamn construction site. You know, in order to get to the main road, I had to make a right and another right. But on that block, they were doing major construction to the point where you can't even walk that way. So I'm sitting here like, how do I get out of here? The security guard didn't speak no English, so I'm like, I can't figure out how to get out of here. And I'm just like stuck in this, site. Now, eventually I figured it out, but the main way that I always would go, that was the main way to go, they had it just blocked off. Then the next couple of days, they weren't even doing construction. So the thing about Dakar is very weird, okay? It makes me look at them sideways. That's like it's 80%, it's a city that's like 80% construction happening, and nothing is done. It's all these projects are like 30, 40%, 60% done. It's like they do construction for a couple of days and they don't do it for some weeks. Like there's no kind of, what are you doing? Do I know how to build something? Like I've never seen anything like that before. All this half-done things. It's like totally inefficient. It makes no sense, right? But that nice Airbnb that I had ended up being roach infested. Okay, like I think after being there for 2 nights, then I started seeing roaches running around on the seat where I would sit and do my work at night. Roaches running around the seat. Roaches running across the kitchen counter. And I'm like, oh no. Roaches is so 80s and 90s. Like, who has roaches? Like, no. That made me paranoid. I'm afraid of roaches getting in my bag, getting in my shit. I had to get out of there. Okay? And my host was horrible anyway. And she had this horrible air freshener that was, like, driving me crazy. So, on Sunday night, finally, Airbnb agreed to reimburse me. And I was like, I need to get the fuck out of here tomorrow. I did not want to be in Dakar anymore. So, I booked a flight for Monday night. But I had to go somewhere for that one last day. So I booked another Airbnb in the morning. And I went to it and it was just horrible. I was like, oh, hell no, I can't. Because I needed to take a shower. It smelled like a bathroom in there. It was like a dingy hotel room. It looked nice online. I thought I had balcony because that's a must for me. It didn't. And I was just like, oh no. And so there was another place, a third place I went to, which looked nice in the pictures. And that place was disgusting. Okay. Like, I was so thankful I was leaving that day. Because there's no way I could have stayed at either one of those places. I couldn't have taken a shower at either one of those places. Okay? They were both gross. In the last place, if I show you, I should post a picture of the bathroom or a video of it. That last place, okay, that I went to. First of all, when I rolled up, it was on this, it's next to the beach. So you're thinking, oh, it's next to the beach, it's beautiful. No, the beach in Dakar is like horrible. But I roll up and I look up and there's a bunch of cows in the street. Now, this is not the country. Dakar is a city. Okay? This is like seeing cows in the middle of Manhattan or Philly or some shit, right? A bunch of cows in the street, but the cows were eating grass from this like area that was full of garbage. All this garbage in the grass. And the cows are eating that. Never seen cows eating garbage-filled grass before. Never seen cows just in the middle of a dirty city. Like, it was just weird. Like, okay, so what are these cows here for? Do people drink the milk from these cows? Do they eat these cows? Like, why? Like, what is this? You know what I'm saying? There's, like, no trees in Dakar. Like, there's a few palm trees here and there, but the palm trees look sick. Like, they look sick, too. So it's not, like, a lot of trees and vegetation at all in that city, you know? And the air is very thick, If if you check out my video on my other page, The Body Scientist, to talk about how thick and toxic the air was. Yeah, the air was just has some of the worst air quality in the world. Definitely some of the worst air quality in Africa. Even though I found out that Ghana and Nigeria is worse, and Ghana is number 2 in the world for that thick, toxic, horrible air. Okay, I got into that in my other video, but you can also Google it yourself. So breathing into when I was in Dakar, every time I breathed or inhaled, I felt like I was breathing in poison. Like it was like so disgusting me. Okay. But yeah, none of the architecture is horrible. I love a beautiful city with beautiful architecture, which is why I love Chicago. I think that, San Francisco has beautiful architecture. New Orleans has beautiful architecture. Pittsburgh has beautiful architecture. Those are some of my favorite Mexico City. Those are places that I feel like have some, of course, Paris and stuff like that. But the architecture in Dakar was terrible. Okay, terrible, and nothing was ever done. Now, I know I'm saying all these negative things. I'm going to say some positive things. There is a good amount of attractive, nice black men in Dakar. I felt like they were trying to be helpful. The one who took me to that spot that night called Boma, he told me that night that I had only seen a little bit and there was so much more to see. And he got me excited. Perhaps I would have liked it more if I had kept hanging with him. Maybe if he kept showing me around and I kept hanging with him, maybe I would have seen these things where I would have liked it more. But still, I still would have thought it's a shitty city because there's chaos. Nobody knows any addresses. The roads aren't paved. It's too damn dusty. I don't like walking around. Like, you could see the dirt in the air. I could feel the dirt on my eyes and my skin. And it's like, I don't want to moisturize. And you go outside and it's hot and dusty and dirty. Like, it was so dusty and dirty. Like, one of the dustiest, dirtiest places that I've been. So even if I had kept getting taken to these nice little places, these little luxury spots with a bunch of people who are usually probably from somewhere else, I might have liked that, but I still wouldn't have liked the fact that the city is so ugly and hard to get around, okay? To me, whatever cool little spots like that they have does not make up for how terrible the city is. And just access to food, just everything about it, right? Just didn't like it. But one thing too, in the downtown, I tried to, I think the spirits of Dakar, of Senegal, they don't want people to see their downtown. Because my dad kept bugging me about, let me see downtown, let me see downtown. I went downtown. It was like, words can't explain how it looked. I've never seen nothing like that. Before that, the worst downtown I had ever seen was in Detroit, okay? Detroit downtown looked like a tornado went through it. And you're walking and looking at office buildings with broken glass, like you think glass is going to fall on your head. Downtown Dakar was terrible. Like, if you could just imagine the worst shit that you could imagine, that was downtown Dakar. It's probably worse than the worst shit you could imagine. It was horrible. And I'm like, what is the history here? Like, we know colonialism that messed people up, but come on. I mean, it was really bad. But when I was downtown Dakar, I did stop. I was with my dad's friend who stopped at this shoe store. Oh, shit. Let me get my shoes. Stopped at the shoe store. And I've been needing new sneakers for a long time. But I like cool sneakers, but I like to get them on sale. I like to get sneakers that people don't really have. And I like to get them on sale. And I like fly sneakers for cheap. So I came across some Jordans. I've never even owned Jordans before. I don't even be paying attention to, like, the name, whatever sneakers. I just see things as cute. But I got some Jordans. I guess these are classics that I really like. And I actually match my shirt that I have on right now. How cool, right? So I need to... Got these, right? These were $30 in Dakar, okay? I really like these. Even though I need to get them out of here. Yeah. Okay, so, yeah. So, that was like the one highlight. I like these sneakers that I got for $30. It probably would have been like $200 in the States. I don't know. Now, on my way to the airport. Now, I'm going to tell this story and I think I'll be done with talking about Dakar. Okay. Okay, where do I start with this? Okay. So I had the scariest ride to the airport. I'm somebody who, I believe in safety, okay? I'm not trying to be in a car accident. I'm not trying to die or get paralyzed or some shit in a foreign country, okay? And we already know healthcare in Africa is not good. So you know what? In these West African countries, Ghana, Nigeria, Senegal, don't get hurt, because they're not really going to help you. Okay, I've learned that from studying the medical system. And you can, if you don't believe me, go on YouTube and watch people tell you about that. Okay. And so the host at the last Airbnb I was at, that was absolutely fucking terrible. Okay, when I tell you it was terrible, the bathroom. Imagine if you go in the bathroom and it's a little room, and you see a toilet. So you see a toilet right here, and the sink is behind the door. It's so little, and you're like, "Where's the shower?" And then you notice, okay, the toilet seat. Okay, this is the toilet seat right here, and the shower head is like damn near like 2 inches from the toilet. Okay, there's no shower curtain. There's no closed off area to make this a designated shower. No. Okay, it was the floor, shower head, the toilet. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, you're supposed to shower in the you're supposed to shower in the toilet? Like, what the fuck? Like, what is this? I've never seen anything like that before. Never seen anything like that. Okay, so it's like the Airbnb standards and stuff there. No, no. But the host, he called me a taxi that night to leave, right? And the taxi driver came. He actually spoke some English. And you know when you're in the snow and you're like, let's say your car is stuck in the snow, and so you have to go forward and back to try to get yourself out of the snow. We were stuck like that in rocks and dirt and sand. Okay. So it was like rocks and dirt and sand, and like we're like stuck in that. He's going back and forth. I can hear the rocks grinding on the bottom of the car. The rocks were grinding on the bottom of the car. I'm like, how are people? And then rocks grinding on the bottom of the car, and then you bump, and there's no shock absorption in the car. It was just horrible. And I'm like, how these cars? How do they not break down when you're driving with rocks grinding all in the car all the time? I don't understand. So then he finally gets out of that. It was just a crazy mess. He stops at the little corner store and says, okay, I'm going to buy some cigarettes. Just totally unprofessional. But people do things in different countries. People do things differently in different countries. So he hops out. He goes and buys cigarettes. He comes back to the car with a handful of cigarettes. And he turns it. He gets in the back seat, points it at me, and is like, you want a cigarette? And I'm like, no, thanks. I really just want you to drive. Right? Don't want a cigarette. So can't roll down the window, so now he's driving. Now, when he was driving on the highway, because people tell you the airport is 45 minutes away, but it took me an hour and 40 minutes leaving the airport and coming back. So it's like an hour 40-minute drive to the airport on the highway. Now, I think if he wasn't driving the way he was, maybe it would have taken like an hour and 25 minutes that night, because there was no traffic, right? So he starts driving, and he's driving in the middle of 2 lanes, okay? Like, he's on the little dash lines that, divide the lanes. He's driving in the middle of 2 lanes. And that shit made me nervous, because I am really about safety. I do not play around with cars. Okay, people die in cars and get in car accidents every damn day of the year, every city in the world. I like safety. I don't like people who drive like they got issues and you can't stay in your lane. So he's driving in between 2 lanes, right? And he'd be driving, he looked like he was falling asleep, like he's leaning forward. And then he's like doing this, like he's trying to wake himself up. Looked like he was nodding off. And I'm just like, oh no. So he's like driving off into the shoulder, like he was about to drive off the highway. And the one thing that was scaring me, but I'm like, okay, we're not going to go off a cliff. But I still don't want to drive off the side of the highway, okay? So that was making me nervous. And at one point, this car flew past us, right? This car flew past us so fast, I thought the car was about to hit us. And it scared the shit out of me. And I said to him, are you okay? And when I asked him if he was okay, he turned around and looked at me, was staring at me hard, right? He's still driving straight. But he's looking at me. He didn't answer my question. But he would just look at me with a stupid look on his face, just staring at me. And I'm like, dude, turn around and look at the road. He stared at me for like 15 seconds. Like, you're driving. Keep your eyes on the road. God damn. Still didn't answer my question, but why are you staring at me? And people do that a lot in different countries. And I don't like that shit, right? It's dangerous. So now I'm texting the guy who called me the taxi. The guy who called me the taxi, he was the co-host. He spoke French. He didn't speak English. So I'm translating the shit into French, telling him that the driver's making me nervous. Can you please ask him if he's okay or something? I don't know. Because it's not even like I could get out the car. I couldn't get out the car and get another car. You know what I'm saying? There's no Uber there. No one speaks the language. People are inefficient as fuck. Like, there's no way. And then on the drive to the airport, you're looking at nothing. Okay, for that whole hour and 40 minutes, it was nothing. Not a rest stop, not no food, not something to drink, nothing. So there's no way I could get out that car or find somebody else. You know, I was just like, please let me get there safely. So the co-host called me to give him the phone. So the driver is speaking to the co-host. They're talking back and forth for like 4 minutes, 4 or 5 minutes. They going back and forth having a whole conversation. Then the driver gives me the phone back, and the co-host texts me and he says, "It was a pleasure speaking to him." And I was like, "What? What do you mean it's a pleasure speaking to him? What did he say? What was the consensus? Like, was he tired? Like, what is his problem?" And the co-host wrote back and said, he said he was concentrating on the line. And I'm like, what? You guys did all that talking back and forth for like 5 minutes. And all you can tell me is that he said he was concentrating on the line. He had to said more than that. All I know is that when I got the phone back, now the driver is started driving really fast. And that made me even more nervous, because he was still driving in 2 lanes and still driving like he was going to drive off the highway, but now you're doing it at a fast speed. And I'm like, if you're going to drive off the highway, I'd rather you do it slow than fast, because I could really get fucked up now if we get into an accident. And the car was rickety. Like, it wasn't suitable to be going on the highway. It felt like a wheel might fly off or the door might fly off. It's a stick shift, and the whole stick apparatus was coming up out of the car. And I'm just like, oh my God. I'm thinking how my mother always tells me she prays for me every day. I'm like, I need my mother's prayers right now. I need to get back safely. I don't want to miss this flight. I just don't want to miss it. I don't want to miss this flight. I don't want to get in an accident. And it was scaring me, because we're driving on this dark highway with no lights. And there weren't many cars, but every now and then cars would come. And it's like, they always say, but they're about to sideswipe us. There were times that cars were behind him and they were flashing at him like, dude, what are you doing? So he stops driving fast, starts driving slow again, and it's like he was looking like he was falling asleep. Like, the car kept like kind of stopping on the highway, and then he was constantly shifting gears. Now, I drive a stick shift. He's constantly shifting gears, but the car wasn't going any faster. It's still putting along. He's looking like he's nodding off, and I'm like, oh my God. It was like the longest. I'm just looking at the map like, please just get me here. Please, okay? Now, the price, even when we got close to the airport and we're like approaching a fork in the road, he's literally driving like 5 miles an hour, and I'm not exaggerating. And then he's driving so slow. I'm like, I can't tell if the car is moving or stopping. And he's shifting. Car still not moving nowhere. So when we finally got to the airport, now the price had been negotiated already by a dude that I met there, and the co-host. The price was negotiated to be $20,000 of their dollars, right? Which was like 30-something American dollars. So I had to go inside to get cash. So I told him I had to go inside and get cash. Now, you know when you go to the airport, there's like multiple doors to go into the airport, right? So I tried to go on one door to go to the ATM, and this armed guard who had a machine gun comes and tells me, like in French, like, I can't come through that door. I have to go through the other door. So I'm like, okay. I go through the other door, go to the ATM. Then I try to exit out of that door, and another armed officer with a machine gun tells me I can't leave out of the door I came into. I have to go out the other door. And I'm like, what? In my whole life of traveling, I've never seen that before. But okay, it's not where you're from, it's where you at. It's where you at right now. That's their rules, but that's like retarded and extra for no reason. I come outside, I give the driver the $20,000. Now, the whole time, there are people constantly trying to walk next to me, trying to ask me if I need money, if I need this, if I need that. I don't like how people hound you like that in some of these other countries. People don't do that shit in the U.S. At best, they might ask you, do you need a taxi? You say no, they leave you the fuck alone. Not people coming to you, oh, you need to exchange cash, oh, you need this, oh, you need that, and they won't leave you alone. That's one of the things I appreciate about America. We don't have that type of hustle culture where we believe in harassing people to fucking death. And that shit is annoying and overwhelming when you're in a foreign country. But people are doing that. So I give him $20,000. And when I give it to him, he starts to try to tell me I owe him more money. Now, this is, again, every time when a taxi, even when prices were negotiated, like I said, with the app might say it's going to cost this much. 100% of the time, they ask for more money. 100% of the time. And in Dakar, if you're taking taxis around, you can easily spend $20 in a day just taking cabs from point A to point B. You know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. So he starts trying to tell me I have to give him more money, and I'm like, no, I know we negotiated $20,000, and he was kind of like holding on to my bag, like, you know, I have my bags, and he has his hand on it, and I'm just thinking to myself, I hope he doesn't lie, because he could lie and say I didn't pay him anything. And I'm just hoping that, like, he doesn't lie like that, because I'm in this foreign country, and a lot of times when you're in somebody else's country, they don't side with you, because you're a foreigner, so you're just automatically guilty. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't want any problems. So I tried to, I'm saying to him, I'm trying to be nice. I'm like, okay. And I'm trying to act like I'm going to the ATM or whatever. And I'm like walking fast. And he's like trying to hold on to my bag. But I'm like walking so fast, I just kept walking. I go into the airport. I kept walking into the bathroom because I changed my clothes. I text the co-host and I was like, yo, I told him what was happening. I'm like, didn't we negotiate $20,000? And he's trying to ask me for more money. So the co-host was like, give me the phone. Let me speak to him. And I was like, okay, if he's still there when I come out the bathroom, I will. When I came out the bathroom, he wasn't there, right? Thankfully. So let me end with this, okay? The last bit of inefficiency in Dakar. So I'm at the airport, and I'm flying Delta, okay? Now, by the way, thankfully, my flight was booked with credit card points, okay? I spent like maybe 45,000 Citibank points that I transferred over to Air France, and I booked these direct flights from New York JFK to Dakar. And so all I did was pay the taxes. I might have paid $300 in taxes, and it was like 45,000 miles. Now, if I would have paid for the flight, this trip, it would have been like $2,000. So I'm so thankful I didn't pay. I paid like $300, okay, instead of $2,000. I just had to pay the taxes. So I'm looking for Delta to check in. I didn't see a check-in counter, so I asked them at the information desk, like, where do I check in? And they're like, oh, you have to go through, like, there's like this little security thing where you put your bags to be scanned, and then they metal detector you. You walk through a metal detector. So they told me I have to go through that first before I check in. So I'm like, okay. So I go over there, I put my bags on the thing, and I'm take off my waistbelt, all that, and I'm about to go through the little metal detector thing, and this man steps in front of me. He's like, hold on. Where's your passport or your ticket? And I'm like, well, I don't have a ticket because I didn't check in yet. But my passport is in my waist belt that I just put through the security. And because I was told to come through here first. And it was just like weird. Like, I didn't check in. You have to check in on the other side of this. So why would I have my ticket? But I got my bag, showed him my passport, went into my email, showed him that I had a record that I had a flight, and he was like, okay. That was the first time I showed my passport to him. Then as I approached the line to get in line to check in for Delta, somebody was asking for my passport again. Gave it to him. Then I get online, and as I'm waiting online, a third person came up to me asking for my passport. I gave it to him. He walked away for like a few minutes. He goes to he went to some machine and I don't know what he was looking at. He comes back like 4 minutes later and starts asking me, so what is your profession in the States? And I'm like, I'm a nutritionist. And he's like, oh, really? He's looking at me all weird, his eyebrow all cocked up, looking at me all suspect. Ugh, it was so annoying. Like, I wanted to slap him. Anyhow, he was like, oh, really? Can you tell me more? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a trainer, I'm a nutritionist. I work with people all over the place. Like, and he's just like looking at me like he didn't understand what I was saying. Like, tell me more. So then he's like, well, who owns those bags? Talking about my suitcases. Who owns those bags? I was like, I do. He was like, did anybody give me anything to put in the bags? No. Like, they asked me that in Colombia too. I'm like, no, they didn't. So he just asked me all these questions, looking at me suspect. And then he says, well, the reason why I'm asking you this is because your name is not on the list for having a flight. And I'm like, oh, so I showed him my email. Like, see, I do have a flight. I don't know why my name is not on the list, but I have a flight. So then he left me alone. Okay, that was the third time I showed my passport. Now I get to the desk to check in. I give my passport to her, the gate agent, or, the check-in woman. Fourth time I show my passport. She then asked me, oh, what address are you going to in the United States? And I've never had anybody ask me what address I'm going to in the United States in another country. Like, when you enter a country, sometimes they ask you what address you're going to in their country, but they don't ever ask you when you're leaving where you're going in your own country, right? And I was about to give my Chicago address, but I said, let me give my New York address, which is my parents' address. Let me just give that because the flight is going to New York. And I don't want them to ask me, oh, you live in Chicago? When are you going back to Chicago? I just didn't want no more questions. So I just said, let me just tell them it's New York address. Thankfully, I started telling them my New York address. Then she asked me for my driver's license. And I've never had anybody in a foreign country. I'm giving you my passport, and you ask me for my driver's license. Like, what if I didn't have a driver's license? I don't know. So I give her my driver's license. Thankfully, I did, because I did not want to get stuck in Senegal. So I don't know, but that was just weird. Give her my driver's license. She puts in whatever. I check my bag. I go. Okay, that's 4 times already. Showed the passport. Now it's time to go through immigration. Give my passport a 5th time, right? Immigration. The second I go through immigration, you take 5 steps, and there's another man sitting there at a desk asking for a passport again. Okay, so this is number 6 of me giving. I'm like, what kind of retarded, inefficient bullshit is this? And of all the places I've flown, I've never seen. It's like they just put people places to do jobs for no fucking reason. Like, what are you guys doing? It's just so much extra inefficient retardedness. Okay, gave him my passport a 6th time. Went through the scanners again. Now we're in the airport. Okay, went through the scanners twice. Okay, now I go in and I see the line for my flight. And I look and I notice in the airport there were like 4 booths, okay, to get food. Like, and they were really nice looking, modern looking, very clean. But when I started staring, I noticed that every single food, like, little thing they had, there was nobody back there working. There was one person, and that one person was like reading a book or something, doing absolutely nothing. There was nobody back there cooking. There was nobody online wanting to order anything. And then I look at the seating, okay? So, like, all the seating around the eateries were full of people sitting at the seats, sitting at the table. I looked at those people. Those people weren't eating anything. They didn't have any food. I was like, this is freaking weird. What is this? I saw one white dude eating a piece of bread. That was it. So I'm like, I've never seen anything like this in my life. Are these food stands here for show? Like, how is it that nobody's cooking food, nobody's buying food, nobody's eating food? But you have these, like, I've never seen anything like it. It was really strange. It was just weird. I was just like, get me out of here. Get me out of here. So I got on the damn plane. Oh, and then right before we got on the plane, they searched us again. So right before we got on the plane, they made us take off our shoes. They patted me down. They went through my bag, threw out my lighter, which some countries, they do throw out your lighter. A lot of countries, you can't fly with a lighter. So the rules to fly are different in different countries, and you have to know that. Europe is totally different than the U.S. The rules that they have for flying, it's like really nerve-wracking. But yeah, so then they searched us again. I'm like, I already went through a scanner twice. Okay, so I went through, got patted down and searched 3 times, showed my passport 6 times, got on the flight, came back to the U.S. and was never so happy in my life to touch U.S. soil. Okay, so that trip made me thankful. Okay, thankful for all the access and stuff that I have right here. And that's why I ain't moving no goddamn where. All right, America's not perfect. No country is perfect. Every country has some kind of problems and corruption, but I'll take American problems over other countries' problems, okay? So that's that. That's my little summation of Dakar, my trip, and hopefully I didn't forget anything. But, you know, you can check my other videos if you want that I did on Dakar, and you can see the whole story if you want, all right? So I'm tired. I'm gonna go about my day. I hope you guys are well. Thank you for listening. Follow me on YouTube, follow me on Instagram, and have a good night. Bye.